Good morning, everyone. How we doing? Happy Black Friday for the shoppers out there. You're not going to see me out in those streets. It's Richie Hicks of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast, welcoming in a very good friend of mine out in Texas, Mr. Keith Woolridge.
How's it going? How's it going,
Cowboys
King
fan.
Richard?
Doing beautiful, brother. Can't complain. Playing a little hooky today, not going to front. Got to clean up this house. But, gonna make the best of it today and give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to our viewing audience. And let's go, man. Let's ride.
Hey, what's going on, world? I'm Keith K.L. Woolridge. I am from the DFW area. I am a fan through and through. Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Cowboys, Texas Rangers, Dallas Stars. If it came from Dallas-Fort Worth, I'm a fan. So nice to be on the show here with you, Rich.
Pleasure to have you, man. We have some great conversations about football and much more than that.
Absolutely.
We're going to hit on Cowboys in command.
Okay.
Love hurts. Hawks offense not as visible as their jerseys. For the sake of humor, I got to hit on these Seahawks uniforms yesterday, dog. It's not the first time they broke them out. But it seems like yesterday the world was just having a lot of fun with being like, damn, there is absolutely no way you could lose a receiver, not down a running back, or not see a downfield blocker, or basically anybody rocking with that eccentric color.
Right.
It might look good in Madden. It looks kind of cool on the eye test, but it kind of disturbs me on the level. My New York Football Giants used to rock those reds, and we couldn't beat anybody in those uniforms, even when we were winning like 10, 11 games a year.
Right.
When we throw on the red joints, you know we were going to get beat. My God, I mean, we'll start with the 49ers, work it back, as obviously you are very familiar with those guys.
Yeah, unfortunately. But right now, the 49ers, to me, are the team to beat. When everyone is healthy on that team, it's no stopping the 49ers.
Yeah, they're scary, brother.
Yeah.
They are scary.
I think when they're healthy, they're the most dominant team in football.
We have a 49er fan. I think he's coming in on some friendly banter. My man, Ryan Shedd, I'm sorry for your loss, KL, unless if it is something more. I'm not sure what he's referring to. I'm assuming the kiddo, maybe.
No, yeah. And you saw what happened after that. So y'all took a 3-game sled, I believe, but it's all good.
Yeah, that's been their Waterloo. Every team in the NFL has a big bully that they got to overcome to get to the next level. It goes without saying that for my New York Giants, last year was indicative. We're talking about big bullies right now. The Seahawks can't beat the 49ers.
Right.
And in your case, the 49ers have been a hindrance for you the last couple of years. Definitely, I would say, getting some revenge off of what you guys did to them in the golden era of the 90s, where y'all took 3 out of 4 seasons worth of Lombardi Trophy take-home prizes.
Well, they definitely carry it on their shoulders, and they remind us of it every day. The Cowboys from the 90s area, we made a lot of enemies along the way.
No doubt.
This generation of Cowboy fans are definitely paying for it. There's nowhere I can't go and I'm not hear about my team now. 25 years, 26 years since we done something, 27, And until we win that Lombardi, it looks like it's going to be that way for a while. So I'm not pressed behind it. I understand.
Yeah, and I talked to you off air that with the Cowboys catching a ton of hatred, it's very similar to being a Laker or a Yankee fan.
Absolutely.
Because they are very polarizing teams that whether they're good enough to be written about as often, they are literally going to grab the headlines. I don't like your team, but I respect them. Your owner, as I told you, has always had a very high reverence for the late George Steinbrenner. And as you can see, I'm quite the Yankee fan with a lot of stuff around me. And I liken the Cowboys and the Yankees very similarly. Now, You have old school New Yorkers that have a hard on that the Giants play in New Jersey, the real old timers that saw this team, get nurtured into the entity that they are now in the old Yankee Stadium.
Right.
So in that regard, I think that explains a lot of the hatred. But I got to tell you, man, I take this being fair and covering sports rather seriously. And when I see a guy like Stephen A., and it's not even that he's going in on the Cowboys. He's going in on just idiocracy when you have, you put it up, tell him about it with the Jalen Hurts thing. It's wild, bro. You're supposed to throw the best passes and read a defense and have it all figured out in your first year in the NFL. It's a little unreasonable.
Well, I mean, how often does that happen? I tell everyone the hardest position to play in all of sports is an NFL quarterback.
No lies.
I don't think people understand what goes into that. So to come into the league your first 2 years and have the type of success that he's had, you can't help but respect a guy like that. We can sit here and we can hate and we can say outlandish things, but for him to come in and take command of that role where he's at right now, I take my hat off to him. Kudos. He's done his job.
Something that won me over with him, even though it is no secret that I don't necessarily have the same kind of respect, so to speak, for the typical Eagle fan as I do for the Cowboy fan. And a real fan is a real fan, and a good one is a good one.
Right.
It's more of the vile nature, and that's a whole nother conversation just because of utter hatred for one another. It's fun, but sometimes it's downright dangerous.
Right.
But as far as, taking the fan hat off and just talking football for a moment, Jalen Hurts, to me, showed some grand maturity, calming down a head coach who's about 20 years his senior in last year's Super Bowl.
Right.
And I'm just going to say from very reliable sources that there were a couple of things that I witnessed and then sort of kind of confirmed that I just didn't like what I seen. And that's all I'm going to say about that with Nick Sirianni's behavior, not just in that particular moment of a game, but kind of like his crass cockiness that he carries around. I'm not going to say that the man can't coach. I think they have great coordinators. I had the pleasure of having one of those coordinators on my show, and a true football treasure in terms of his acumen and just a dude that understands his way around the league, and the whole journey. But getting back centered, that is my take with why the hate is so real. You kind of alluded to it, that in the 90s, everybody and their mother was a Cowboy fan. And I'm sure that for certain people like you who grow up in that area and got nurtured into being a real Cowboy fan,
right?
I get it with the Yankees too. I'm like, why is a dude in Kansas City rocking a Yankee hat? I get that they're polarizing, but it's a little crazy to me. And I think the best answer for that tag-along BS is instant gratification.
Yeah. Being from Dallas-Fort Worth and rooting for the Cowboys, it's hard to understand why you get the hate that you get being a local fan. You know what I'm saying?
Indeed.
And so then you have to understand the nature of your team. One thing I can say about the Cowboys opposed to the Steelers, because they won a lot of championships as well, we're a very boastful organization. We're a very shiny organization, Hollywood status, like.
And I love it because it enhances the rivalry. Yeah. When we are kind of like at the background of kind of like a blue collar defensive oriented run first team.
Right.
Look at our history. And in a lot of metrics, even though you guys have had your fair share of quarterbacks, I think in certain blueprints of your team's historical DNA, you could say that too. You had Marion the Barbarian, may he rest in peace. You had Zeke Elliott, who played at a very high level, and one of the deepest metrics of his game was how damn good he was at taking out blockers.
Absolutely.
We already know how wonderful Emmitt Smith was, and I get heated. And this has nothing to do with being a Cowboy fan, because I don't like you guys. But I get heated when people try to diminish the accomplishments that a man at that size did, acting like the only reason why that man accomplished what he did is because he had a phenomenal O-line. Because what people don't understand when they give me that Barry Sanders crap, Barry never ran between the tackles. Barry always wanted to hit the home run ball. Similar on a smaller level to the mindset of a Saquon Barkley.
Absolutely.
Those are different running backs, and they have to be treated accordingly. You can't put John Riggins and Emmitt Smith and guys who made a living getting the hard yards. Sweetness was another guy. Jim Brown, rest in peace. You can't make the same assessments, and it angers me. Oh, Barry had a fullback. If Barry had a fullback, he'd kicking Moose Johnson in the behind because he'd be like, "Get out of my way, bro." Am I right?
No, you're absolutely right.
You know, so right. It's like when the Lions tried to implement the fullback under many different coaches. I think it even goes back to Wayne Fontes talking about the early 90s. I'm like, dog, Barry never needed. Well, maybe he needed. Barry never wanted a fullback. And I got nothing but love for Barry Sanders. I think he's a phenomenal person and a great human being. But I'm like, bro, enough of that.
You got different running backs. You got guys like Barry that just want to hit it. And then you have those that are a lot more patient. That wait for the holes to open for them.
I love Saquon, by the way.
Smith.
I play the Giants Nation. I ain't trying to take a stab at a guy who is basically getting used as cattle. It sucks for these running backs. I've spoken about it on the show that they're not getting paid like the way Emmett did. Emmett was like, "I don't want to pay me. Y'all don't want to pay me? Okay, guys. I'm going to go golfing for a few more weeks. I'm going to chill with my family, and we're about to not win a game until my ass comes back." You know, so I think Emmett more than stood his ground and got what he deserved. I know it's a great game. I know that it's a pass-happy league, but the God's honest truth is these running backs get ran into the ground because the NFLPA, and something that the players got to get a little smarter with too, they sign off on this stuff. So the players got to represent themselves in a more educated way to be like, hey, guys, if you're not going to pay us, you got to shorten the rookie deals.
Absolutely. I agree.
And it ain't about just Saquon. It's about every running back that gets treated like cattle. And then when their young bodies start becoming older bodies, they get replaced by a kid from college.
Absolutely. Most physical position on the field. They take more punishment than anybody.
And it's not fair.
Absolutely.
It's not fair. You know, listen, we're regular dogs. It's not like we're in that bracket of the money they make, but the bottom line is no matter what your profession is, you should be paid accordingly to what the base standard is.
Absolutely.
Sorry, nobody's going to tell me that number 8 on my football team deserves that much of an enormous pay raise above number 26. Bottom line, and I don't got nothing against Jonesy. He played it right. You got to get what you can from a profession that's limited and not promised tomorrow.
Perfect example is Earl Campbell. Oilers used to run him 30 times a game.
Yes,
Dude
sir.
Can barely walk now. He can't walk. And so that just goes to show what that takes a toll on your body. If you've seen this dude's thighs, they're huge.
A la Brandon Jacobs, Derrick Henry kind of back, but super talented as well.
Yeah. And I'll admit, I hate to admit this, but Brandon Jacobs was one of my favorite running backs.
Me too.
Coming up. The way he used to do us, I think it was the one play he scored and he threw the ball at the scoreboard.
I fell
in love with him. I fell in love.
The cheeks started going up and just because, you know, when we go through hard times as a fan, what do you lean on? You lean on the good times and you remember how great it is to overcome and to be, because, you know, this is not Giants pride. This is not what I'm doing. So you know as well as I do. And you guys had your share of going through the ringer with who the hell is going to be the quarterback before Tony Romo saved the day. It took a while. And by the way, sir, you can thank the New York Giants for unraveling Tony Romo because Bill Parcells was about to punch Drew Bledsoe.
Thank you.
We beat him that day. We took Romo pick 6 to the house, but we did essentially start the Tony Romo era. And I would say it was a tale of two halves, so to speak. Right. Eli had his number early. Tony had Eli's number late. And about your Cowboys, sir, what are your thoughts on Deron Bland, man? He is doing some serious damage, and he has some eye for the football right now.
Man, let me tell you something, man. Big ups to Al Harris, DB coach.
Oh, yeah.
When Diggs went down, I'll be one to say I was worried. Who's going to step up? Who's going to make I knew we had Gilmore, but he lost a step or two.
Indeed, he still got the
So,
acumen, but the body is not as what it once was.
absolutely, absolutely. For Deron Bland, a young player as himself, to step up the way he has and to break that record yesterday, man, I'm proud of him. I
It
am.
should be. And I'll tell you, man, I knew the Commanders were in for one hell of a long day when I saw what my defense was able to do to them. And I have a lot of respect for Sam Howell. A lot of people will lose sight of this because the Commanders are having a rough go.
Right.
But let me
Right.
tell you, man, Sam Howell, if that organization nurtures that situation properly, he's going to be a very good quarterback for a very long time. And just knowing that Magic Johnson is involved with that organization, I have a high faith for them that they're going to be relevant again because Magic Johnson is a winner. Bottom line, that man knows how to win. And he's not just the sole owner, but I know that he has a brain that is always going to challenge those in a demand of excellence. Magic always brought that around the court, away from the court. And, very transparent dude because he's never ran away from his mistakes either. And I think that speaks even bigger volumes on the kind of human Magic was.
I put him in the mindset of Deion Sanders. And what do you say? You better get me now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think the Washington Commanders are going to continue this route. I give it 2 seasons. I'm going to say 2 seasons for the rebuilding process. And I think they'll be a legit playoff team again because Magic Johnson is a winner.
Yeah, man. That's the only ring he's missing. He got the NBA. He caught one from baseball. He caught one from the NHL. He's going for the 4-piece, and I think he could do it. As far as your team goes,
yes.
Obviously, you guys have been getting a lot of crap, whether it's just or not, from the media. That they got a sexy record, but they haven't beaten anybody that currently has a winning record. Now, when you beat the Jets, they were undefeated. It was only week 2. So sometimes I think those numbers get a little skewed when they're like, oh, y'all didn't beat nobody winning record. Well, they had a winning record when we beat them. It's kind of weird. But I guess what I'm asking you is, I know that you were punch for punch, neck and neck with the Philadelphia Eagles in a very hostile place to win a football game. It is hard to win at the Link.
Absolutely.
And, your quarterback is quietly making a case for MVP.
I'll say this. The way Dak showed up in that game, that's the Dak I believe in. Despite we lost that game, and I know there are no moral losses in the NFL, but the way those guys came out and he put his body on the line, you can't help but respect that kind of a play out of your quarterback. As far as us playing subpar teams, you can only play who's in front of you. I mean, the schedule is the schedule. I mean, what are we supposed to do? Go out there and lose? Let that happen. I wonder what the headlines will be then. So
and
you can only play.
The 49ers win more times than they lose. Maybe you didn't like on the eye test. You're like, man, they really got on us. But, at the end of the day, it's 1 week in a very long season.
Absolutely.
And I do believe that this is the best football Dak Prescott has played in terms of not so much the fact that you're winning, because the guy's a consistent winner in this division, no matter what people think or want to say. I could speak on it because we haven't swept that man since his rookie year. But that is the year I'm alluding to. I think that particular season when we swept you guys but got knocked out with the infamous boat trip, we know about that.
Oh, yeah.
You guys lost a classic matchup to the Green Bay Packers. I remember watching that game with my late father, who was a diehard Packer fan, and telling him, Dad, I understand that they can't take this opportunity away from the kid, but I feel that if Romo, who actually was healthy at that time, played, the Cowboys would have won the game, but it wouldn't have been setting them up for the proper situation moving forward.
Right.
Because it would have really crushed a young man's confidence who deserved to play in that game. But given Romo's past failures, some of them his fault, some of them not all the way on him, because the man never did really have a great defense till he was too old to really function, body old. So I think that particular year was one that got away from you. I know it's a sore topic with Cowboys fans about the catch that wasn't with Des Bryant. Listen, bro, I'm not gonna lie. I was rooting for the Packers, but that was a catch. So there's a couple ways to look at it. If my father was came back for a few hours and was able to talk, he might be lying through his teeth, but he'll tell you it wasn't a catch. But that's the beauty of it. And I gotta say, man, I said this to friend of your page that I'm a proud member of, NFC Beast. Great convo in there, great football fans. And I told her, I said, you guys are striking me as the kind of wild card that can overcome previous season losses and come in and bully some people around when it counts. Because there's the thing with Philly. We know that Jalen Hurts got the win most recently that puts him in an NFL record bracket.
Right.
Deron Bland made history, most pick sixes, which is just phenomenal. And it's like, what I'm getting at here is I really believe that you guys have like that look of a wild card that is not afraid to go on the road and kind of exercise some of your demons with two teams that you have been questioned if you could honestly beat them.
Perfect example. One of my favorite movies of all time, Rocky II. When Rocky lost to Clever Lane the first time around,
it
was a hell of a beating, wasn't it? Well, we saw what happened later. And I feel my Dallas Cowboys are going to come back and we're going to get to the NFC Championship. I don't know why I believe in it, but I just believe in it. So who's ever in front of us, all I can say is get ready.
Well, truth be told, my preseason prediction, I did have the 49ers and the Seahawks, actually. But after seeing enough of Geno Smith, I'm going to retract on my initial statement thinking that the Seahawks closed the gap on the Niners. Mike Zappi and I talked about this many a time, that losing DeMeco Ryans may have weakened the Niners' defense.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily think that we accounted for the fact that Wilkes is that damn good too.
Yeah.
Because he got snowed in Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Idris Salam joining the party. Good morning, Idris.
What's going on, my brother?
Yo, Idris, get up in here if you want. All right. Keith, anything you want to hit on the way out with the Cowboys before we turn it over to the Packers-Lions? And I want to make sure that the Niners get their just due before we head out for the day.
We're making a comeback. That's all I'm going to say.
Awesome. And I'll be honest with you, man. I don't have a dog in this race. But as a football fan, I'm always proud to root for a team that's a member of this division, because anybody that's been a fan as long as we have knows that this stuff is cyclical and this stuff goes back around. My favorite football memory, share a little something with you. I was in attendance in the 7th row end zone when our guys beat you on New Year's Day. It was a game for it all. The previous week, we knocked out the Jets. And then we played the Romo, DeMarcus Ware-led Cowboys, and it was just our night, man. Victor Cruz was sizzling. He had the greatest season of any Giant receiver. Odell eventually surpassed that. And, just electric. So, the Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants, even as a kid, just take it back some, the Emmitt Smith game. I felt like it was a changing of the guard kind of situation where Lawrence Taylor, Phil Simms, these are guys that were aging.
Yeah.
And we fought and clawed with you guys, and you guys were undeniably the more talented team. That was never up for debate when we went in there. And although we fell short, home field for the entire playoffs was on the line, as well as the East Crown. The better team won, but it was cool to see just what it means in that division. It was literally a changing of the guard moment.
Right.
We're going to change it over to the Green Bay Packers yesterday. Jordan Love, man. My God, Jordan Love, a guy that I must admit that I've been doubting a little and thinking that there was a bigger disconnect with Matt LaFleur. Maybe I was jumping the gun a little too early on the kid. But the last couple of weeks looks like he's really starting to get it with these Packers. And I don't think that they're a playoff threat this particular year. And I have been very boisterous about that. I think the Lions, while I do respect what they're building, this particular year don't have all the pieces, and they are still paper tigers.
Right.
I liken them to last year's Vikings. This year's Vikings, I think, are more dangerous than last year's Vikings, even though they don't have the same record.
They are. The Lions were actually one of my teams I picked to go to the playoffs because of the way that they finished last season. Their problem last season was they couldn't finish games. So the way they started off this season, when I saw that they were actually finishing games, I said, well, I think the Lions are going to go to the playoffs. They're going to go deep. But what I saw yesterday, I just saw a Packers team that wanted it. I saw a team that wanted it. Jordan Love, he shows you flashes of what he's capable of.
Indeed.
He did that the first game. Now I think he's starting to catch rhythm. I think they're starting to figure each other out on that team. And I think the Packers could be at the top of their division next season.
Yeah, I mean, good friend of the show, John Olsen, one of my father's best friends, originally Scandinavia, Wisconsin. You know how every Sunday or Tuesday rather, how I post like my fantasy results. I play in a lot of fantasy leagues, but that one's named after my late father, and he was a member of that one. So that's like the one I'm most proud of. And it also helps when you win it, because I'm not going to lie. When I get crowned, I don't necessarily have that same energy to post up the final score. I'll let somebody else do that to me. But needless to say, I'm a co-defending champion with Mike Zappi. The DeMar Hamlin game actually decided a tie. Yahoo recognized me as the winner, but keeping it real, Zappi was going to beat me that night because he had Burrow and I had Allen. So I thought it was morally right to make sure that we both just split first and second.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say I don't like everybody in my fantasy league. So if that was somebody else, maybe I wouldn't have split that.
Do we all?
Yeah. Shout out Mike Zappi. Zappi is a smart dude. So we have this thing where we trade off draft picks, right, for future seasons, like next instance. So Zappi, who I said co-defending champion, he recognized that maybe this ain't his year all the way. So he kind of packed it in early, and now he has all this draft capital and draft equity going into next year. And I'm going to say this, John Olsen, I love you. I consider you like an uncle to me. But if you don't get your act right in this season, after all the draft picks you had, this could go down more dubious than the 1 year where I had Henny Face too early and went 0-13. Oh, man, a lot of fun. Idris, what's good? He's got, what do we got here? The Lions are, It is Thanksgiving, Idris. That's a solid point. They do have a mental block on Thanksgiving, pack hot and cold. I like the Lions on Thanksgiving. They are who they are. Yeah, Idris, I don't know about an anomaly, though. That's the one place I'm going to disagree with you with, Idris. Packers won the game. There ain't no anomaly about outplaying somebody, and that's a division familiarity. And, no matter who the Lions are this year and who the Packers are this year, the Packers beat the Lions a lot. And I think the Packers definitely got humbled in Green Bay twice, because you remember last year, Lions ruined their season. This year, they clowned them in Green Bay. It's a quality win. I think the Packers are a lot better than they were when the year started. As the Niners go, the final game of yesterday, no surprise to me. I think it was like almost the way I envisioned it.
Really?
Oh my God, this is funny. Thanks to this is funny, bro. I traded him Patrick Mahomes for a second-round draft pick, and the only rule in my league has to be at least one draft pick coming back. I got Curtis Samuel, Geno Smith in the second rounder. I sent him Patrick Mahomes, and it'll come back to me who else it was. But anyway, thanks to Richie, my team turned Colorado. I was 4-0 until you got involved. It's just business, Idris. It's just business. You still my big bro. Why don't you try loving somebody, Idris? You're coming in here a little ornery today. Just playing. When the Lions wore the throwbacks, I knew they were screwed. Yeah, Brett's superstitious. He said that when Belichick ran down the tunnel rocking the red before Super Bowl 42. I remember he called me. He says, yeah, we're fucked. That's basically what he said. Kind of whispered. I know we got little ears back there. Before we get out of here, Keith, what is your prediction on today's Dolphins-Jets game, the rare Black Friday sitch?
Dolphins.
By a lot or a little?
It's Black Friday, man. I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a game.
I think so too. I think the Dolphins, if they suffer from anything, is that they get a little complacent.
Mm-hmm.
I have a high opinion of Tua Tagovailoa, and if somebody could steal the MVP from Dak, it could be Tua, because he's the type of guy that, because of that dynamic offense, the numbers could just go up in like 3 weeks, where it's like absurd, like Marino territory. And it's not the same game Marino played, but you know what it is.
Absolutely.
The numbers are inflated. I think we may have lost Keith for a moment. Hopefully he's able to come back. I do want to address this with Ivan. Thanks for watching the show, pal. I hope you and your family had a terrific Thanksgiving. Please tell your mother I said hello. Coach Dan Campbell deserves good credit to finally bringing winning and competitive identity to the Detroit Lions. Yeah, dude. Despite yesterday's loss, that cannot be denied. The other thing, Ivan, that you did hit on in the comments, you spoke to me, Ivan, about the running backs and being underpaid and things of that nature. And you brought up Ricky Williams. And I wanted to address that quickly. Ricky Williams got painted a really bad face because he used marijuana to calm him and heal him. In the year 2023, it has been looked at a lot more loosely, whereas they were suspending guys like Josh Gordon forever for smoking weed. But when you think about the drug addiction that was spawned off in the 70s through the 90s, a lot of guys dropping dead too young because they basically had a free drugstore in their locker rooms. Something from the earth is always going to beat something that rips up your liver and things of that nature. Because I'm just gonna make it very honest. All the pills and all the scribes that they were putting on these players and the pressure to perform, and you look at a guy like a Lyle Alzado, who I knew on a personal level, that used to go to my football games as a kid. Media painted him like he was some terrible human. They never seen him around my football team or seen him around kids. I had the pleasure of playing with two of his nephews. One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. So that's the guy you see on TV that's poking somebody's eyeball, but you don't see him in regular human mode. So that just, I guess, comes with the territory of being somebody famous. But yeah, the media could be a bitch sometimes. Keith,
I'm back.
Pleasure, bro. I don't want to keep you too long because I know you're taking care of your little girls over there. Anything you want to say on the way out?
I mean, we heading towards the end of the season. We know how things go in December. So
just want to let you know, Keith, you are literally always welcome to join the show. I know that you have a very busy life.
Yes, sir.
You are always welcome here, man. And I got to get you and Idris on together because
bring them on.
I'm looking forward to that. I'll tell you, man, the thing that Idris and I talk about off air and some of my other friends, and shout out Mike Zappi, because one thing Zappi brought when he was with us, and he's still with us, he just hasn't been around lately, is that we argue. I think
nothing wrong. And it's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with disagreements.
Not at all. But
nothing wrong with disagreement.
Idris said it first. He's like, "Damn, I hate agreeing with you, bro." So I said, you know what? Maybe I got to stop talking early, or maybe talk less or something. But yeah, good to always disagree. I know Brett is always good for a disagreement, especially if you're talking about his Patriots. He gets really emo. Brett, I know you're watching. We're going to whip y'all on Sunday, and I don't care what the records say. When I see that Patriot helmet, it's blood. Please like and subscribe to the channel, the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast, and Beast Family. Keith and I are going to speak for a minute before we get out of here alone, and we're going to be distributing this show to you guys. And you get to see one of your big administrators on the show. Keith, I want to tell everybody, NFC Beast, the page. That is the place, because
awesome.
You have pages everywhere. But one thing I love about that page is that you have the ability to get annoyed. You have the ability to really laugh. You have the ability to damn near get canceled. But one thing I love about that page is that it's real. And in a world with so much, I appreciate you. Shouts out Sylvia T, the whole NFC Beast family. Idris is going in on Brett. I love it. Keith, thank you. And your Turkey Day was good, right?
Absolutely. Forgive me if I still got the Henny face.
Nah, you good, brother. Good. Never a judgment on me, man. There's a reason why I decided to look like Rocky Balboa today. You know, like when you have those days where it's like you might be maybe a little hungover, but like the hair is actually like, you know what I'm saying? At least your hair's bro. You don't want to see this. You don't want to see this, bro. I look like one of those displaced guys in witness protection right now. You don't want to see this.
Hey, brother, no judgment from me, okay? Hey, the boxer trainer, look, it looks great on you, okay?
All right, until next time, thank you for watching. Thank you for spending some time with us on this Black Friday. And guys, if you're going shopping, don't wild out. Please don't wild out and go get in car accidents, go punch somebody at the line. It's not that serious.
Absolutely.
Don't do it.
Shop online.
Go Amazon. Whatever you like to shop online. But please, guys, don't fight with each other. Please. We out.